Hi there, you, yes, you. Is this your first time being at the front of the field? Are you tired of being bullied by Max Verstappen? Can you leverage the British media for British bias? Are you a Team LH member still waiting on revenge for 2024? If you answered yes to any of those questions, sign up to UTLH, the University of Team LH, today. You might have read the title and wondered, what kind of credentials does this guy have to be able to teach me or teach Lando Norris how to beat Max Verstappen? And that's a fair question. Hi, my name is Muregbi F1 and I graduated from UTLH, the University of Team LH, and my major in Abu Dhabology. Yes, the art of Abu Dhabi. My professor, Michael Massey, said that I have the best grades in the class. However, for some reason, on my last test, I only managed to get 55 out of 58. Something about those last 3 questions just slipped my mind. But nonetheless, I will be your tutor for today's lesson. Now, I understand that you, Lando, are trying to win a world championship, something very difficult, and you're trying to do it against Max Verstappen. 2 things very difficult. 1, because it's hard to race Max, and 2, because it's hard to win a championship. But no need to fear, Team LH is here. So without further ado, let's kick this off really strong by going into our first module, crash or yield. Many people get this module wrong because they think about crash or yield as a perspective of a move. They think Verstappen, or any driver in fact, is trying to do a crash or yield move in which they don't give you enough space and they squeeze you to the point where you either back out or crash. They think this move is a way of scaring you or a desperate move of asserting dominance, when really it's quite the opposite. If Verstappen pulls a crash or yield move on you, that means one thing and one thing only, that you can get past him. And not only that, when you get past him, he can't fight back. I give you examples like this. In the sprint race of Austria, Lando Norris darted down the inside, seemingly unbeknownst from Max Verstappen, and he managed to get the place. The dive bomb worked, he went a little bit deep, but he managed to come out of the corner ahead. However, Max Verstappen didn't defend this really hard. Why? Now, you rookies out there would say, well, he just didn't see it coming. That's wrong. He saw it coming. He just knew he would be able to overtake you within the next 30 seconds. And so there was no need for Max Verstappen to defend in such a way to cause a crash or yield. However, if you fast forward 24 hours, Max Verstappen was on older mediums in a car that was definitely struggling. If Lando Norris got past him, it was really uncertain whether Max could even stay ahead even with Lando Norris's penalty. So what did Max do? Crash or yield. Because at the end of the day, it's better that none of us get points than you outscore me. Because you need points to catch me. I don't need points to stay in first in the championship. Now, seeing as I do have a degree in Abu Dhabiology, let me give you a little bit of game, a little bit of insider wisdom that nobody really picks up on because they aren't true graduates of UTLH. In the British Grand Prix, we had a sprint race. I'm pretty sure that was the first sprint race of all time. Now, in this sprint race, Lewis Hamilton went round the outside of Copse to try and overtake Max Verstappen, and he failed. Not only did he fail, but he realized that if he doesn't get Max on the first lap, the Red Bull has enough downforce and speed to pull away before all of the major straights, meaning that even though the Mercedes was faster in a straight line, DRS couldn't help Lewis overtake. So he knew that he had 2 choices. He could either allow Max to get past, or he could try it up the inside. But before we judge whether the Copse collision was a good or bad thing, obviously as UTLH members, we think the Copse collision was completely fair and Max's fault. But before we judge, we must understand what is the psychology of crash or yield. Because nobody wants to crash in Formula One. Nobody. You know that, and I know that. We both want to see the end of the race. right? Not only this, but I know if I am Max Verstappen, are gonna wanna preserve your car at basically all costs. And so I make you choose. Do you want to crash or do you want to try and overtake me a different way? Now, taking off my Max Verstappen hat for a second, it can be very easy to see how a newcomer like Lando Norris to the front sees these moves as unfair. However, someone like Lewis, who has raced against many veterans of the sport, will understand this move very well. This is what the roadmen in London call a G-check. For those of you who aren't from London, a G-check is essentially when someone who is of the hood influence might come up to you and act tough. And your response should be to act tough back. However, if you cower, you show weakness and they might rob you. In other words, someone shows you aggression and you are obliged to show aggression back. If you do not, they will bully you. You're essentially calling their bluff. You won't do what you say, and even if you did, I'm ready for it. Now that we're done with the London lingo, let's see how that translates on track. Max makes a move that says you won't go for that gap because if you do, we're both gonna crash and you don't want that. Now, if you are a newcomer, you will either back out or have to take blame for it. However, if you are a veteran, you will happily stick your nose in there because I could crash, you could crash, we could both crash, none of us could get an incident. I don't care. This is my corner. This is the type of driving that earns you respect, not going to the inside and leaving enough of a car's width's room. What type of rule is that? A car's width? Oh my goodness, that's horrid. Nobody cares about a car's width. What we care about is who is willing to put more on the line. That's how you gain the respect of drivers. If leaving a car's width gave you respect, Max Verstappen would have changed his ways. But Max Verstappen doesn't need to do that because there's never been any need for it. Whenever anyone races Max Verstappen, there's a reason they give him extra space and they're extra careful because they know he will literally throw the car in the bin with you in it. That's how you gain the respect. And so equally, you don't want to be a dirty driver or pull any unclean moves. But what you do want to do is stamp your authority and say, if I go for a move, you will leave me a car's width or we will crash. Stop being dominated and become the dominator. Moving on to the second module, we're going to call that team game. This is going to cover how teammates can help their main driver during a Grand Prix. We're going to cover all the ways you need to watch out for Sergio Perez during a Grand Prix so he doesn't ruin your day. Now for the third and final main module, we're going to talk about off-track antics. Now, have you noticed that even though Max Verstappen was responsible for the collision, that he is receiving, shall I say, all right press, all things being considered, because of how he handled himself off track? Well, you would be correct, because showing something phases you is the first step of weakness, and weakness gets punished psychologically, which is a very big component to driving. Again, referring to my degree in Abu Dhabiology, remember in Silverstone in 2021 when Lewis lost, and instead of thinking about Max Verstappen, he decided to celebrate probably the greatest celebration he's ever done for any race, going out for like 20 minutes, running around with a flag, not caring what the Red Bull garage thought, or really anyone thought. Remember how angry Red Bull fans got? Remember how angry Christian Horner was? This is what we call psychological warfare. If you can throw someone off before they get in the car, everything is messed up for them. They can't start properly, they're going to be fighting too hard, they might push their tires too hard, their strategy might go wrong. When things start to go wrong, they start to get heated, which fuels the process. Truly, if you wanted to take one thing from everything I'm saying here, it's that you have to be calm no matter what. Other things that can help you beat Max Verstappen include but are not limited to touching a Red Bull's rear right tire, causing an avalanche with your teammate, turning your fan base into LH. I know Lando, you're already halfway there. And when all else fails, literally get a rocket ship, strap it to the back of your car, so even when the FIA sends you to the back of the grid, you can beat everyone anyways.